Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Ben Miller. I am a senior account executive here at Titan, and we are very excited to welcome you to this webinar, which is going to be focusing on the nonprofit industry and how we can use Salesforce combined with Titan to create really wonderful experiences for everyone that needs to interact with our organization. We have a lot of really special things in store for you today, so we're really looking forward to this. And of course, we are joined by our wonderful partners, Value Stream Consulting. Jessica and Casey from Value Stream will be presenting some of the things that they've worked on with Titan and have created wonderful solutions for their customers all over the United States in the nonprofit and grant making industry. And yep, let's get started. So as I said before, my name is Ben. I'm a senior account executive here at Titan. I've been with the team for close to 2 years. And I work with customers around the world across every sector. And I have a passion for really understanding the needs of our community and helping them using Titan and Salesforce. So yeah, Jessica and Casey, if you could take it away, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Hi, Ben. Can you hear us okay?
Yep, you sound great.
Great. Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Pasley. I'm the Director of Professional Services and the lead consultant with Value Stream Consulting. I have a bachelor's in applied computer technology with a minor in general business. I've been a Salesforce consultant for around 10 years, where my experience is primarily within the nonprofit sector with a specialty niche in grants management. And Casey?
Hi, I'm Casey Paolillo. I am a CRM and user interface consultant. I have a bachelor's in fine art and a bachelor's in applied computer technology. I've been a Salesforce consultant for about 6 years and focused primarily on grants management.
Wonderful. Okay, so just to get started, a little bit about Value Stream. Yeah, please introduce us a little bit to the organization.
Sure. So Value Stream is one of the most experienced Salesforce consulting firms working exclusively with foundations and nonprofit organizations. We provide process-driven, client-centric CRM solutions for the Salesforce platform. We basically help eliminate wasteful processes and optimize philanthropy. Value Stream has actually been around since 2002 when our boss, John Licata, entered the world of Salesforce. Over the course of 20 years, we've done a variety of projects, including but not limited to implementations of Salesforce using NPSP, implementations of Salesforce with Foundation Connect and grants management, implementations of Salesforce just as a custom solution. We've done rescue projects, we've done cleanup and system improvement projects. On top of that, we support our clients by providing ongoing technical support, administrative services, and we provide implementation and support with other integrated tools and applications. Our team is pretty small, but our depth of experience and expertise shows in a pretty big way. Our driving motivator to deliver exceptional services is to help our clients harness the power of technology to support their processes and needs so that they can carry out their missions to help others and build a better future.
Thanks so much, Jessica. That was a great introduction. And I just, before really getting into Titan and what we do, I just want to mention, what a wonderful partnership we do have with Value Stream. It's one of those partnerships where, we will show them something and they'll say, this is great, but hey, why can't it be a little bit better? And so it's one of those partnerships where we really feel like we're pushed to, continuing to develop and push the envelope of what the platform can do and how it can really assist users and organizations that are working with Salesforce and just trying to really extend those capabilities. Yep, so let's just move along here. A little bit about Titan. I know that today, just looking at the attendees list, we have a lot of our customers here, which is great because so many of you are coming here to learn a little bit more about what you can do with the platform. Of course, we don't always get to speak with you and tell you about all the new things. So this is a great way to really learn a little bit more about what you can do with Titan today. But a little bit about us. Titan is a no-code digital experience platform for Salesforce. What that means is that we have a platform. This platform sits on top of Salesforce, and it has a number of different products on it. And each one of these products is not only integrated with Salesforce bidirectionally, so it can read and write to Salesforce in real time, but it's also integrated with one another. So each part of the platform can really speak to each other and can work in a way that will really allow your users to have a wonderful, wonderful experience and create end-to-end business use cases. So a really quick rundown of the products. We started off as Titan Forms, Form Titan, as many of you knew us. And that was really the flagship product, which helped us grow into what we are today. It's a dynamic form builder that allows you to build any type of form that you'd like, from a simple landing page to a complex application complex application document or form that involves lots of different pieces and conditional logic and all sorts of things like that. And then we also now have Titan Web. So Titan Web is our one of our newer parts of the platform. It's a bit more advanced in terms of the UX UI, and it's a place where we've been putting a lot of our focus. And I know many of our customers have moved over to Titan Web because they found that a lot of those capabilities are really allowing them to extend the experience of Salesforce for their users. And when I say users, I'm talking about absolutely anybody that they'd like to interact with, whether it's customers, partners, just a way to extend your system, your internal system, which is Salesforce, which of course is the best, and really get it into the hands of everyone who needs it. Titan Docs is document generation from Salesforce. So it's two different things and is becoming even a lot more than that. First thing is it's document generation from Salesforce. So, the ability to click a button in Salesforce and send out a document. The second thing it is also the ability to generate a document from a form. So we'll actually be showing some of those capabilities today. Titan Sign is the ability to then add that signature component on it and have multi-signing processes and all of those signature processes happening from Salesforce and being tracked in Salesforce. And of course, at the end of the day, being reported on in Salesforce as well. The last thing we have here is Titan Survey, which is a really simple to use survey builder that doesn't require any configuration in Salesforce. So it's really a great complement to the rest of these tools, because you can also pass it off onto other people in the organization, other departments that may not be so well versed in Salesforce, but still want to collect information from their customers and have it be reported on within the CRM. Yep. So, we have some other products as well, and we'll be talking about them a little bit today. But I'd like to now turn the floor back over to ValueStream to talk a little bit about how they use Salesforce and why Salesforce is really so great for this industry. And before we do that, I actually just want to talk a little bit about what we're going to be going through today. So the first thing we're going to be doing is, as I said, getting a little bit of a rundown on why Salesforce is such a powerful platform for the nonprofit world. After that, we're going to talk about being able to give users access and what we mean by users. So that's a really exciting thing about Titan that I think a lot of you will enjoy. The next thing is conditional logic. Every single type of interface that you make usually requires some sort of conditional logic, whether it's something simple or a little more complex. So we're going to be able to look at that a little bit and see how that actually works in real time. Then after that, we're going to be talking about power tables. So this is a really exciting feature in Titan where you can actually work within one interface on a bunch of different objects, different records, and be able to do drill downs and things like that I think many of you will find really, really helpful. And then document generation. As I mentioned, being able to generate documents either from Salesforce or from within an interface that you're already working in. And then, of course, we'll save some time for questions at the end. Yep, and as I said before, let's now I'm going to turn it over to ValueStream just to give a little bit of a presentation on Salesforce and why it's so important for the nonprofit industry.
Great. Thanks, Ben. So some of you here today may know Salesforce, some may not. Whether you're a grant maker, fundraiser, part of the communications team, or even on program staff, the Salesforce platform supports you. As I said, for those that are already enjoying the power of the Salesforce platform, this information comes as no surprise. For those that are on the call that are new to Salesforce, I'm just going to explain a little bit about what it does for the nonprofit sector. With its power and flexibility, Salesforce is the world's #1 CRM. Salesforce's nonprofit cloud is the only complete platform for nonprofits. It's the only platform that gives you a 360-degree view of your mission. It's the only platform built with a community of over 3,000 trailblazers. With its suite of options, Salesforce really organizes constituent, fundraising, and program data for nonprofits as well as enables grant makers to manage their entire philanthropic giving with scalable solutions for grants management, communications, and more. And while Salesforce is moving mountains to be the best it can be for nonprofits, we can't overlook that those nonprofits also need a way to interact with their stakeholders, donors, sponsors, grantees, reviewers, scholars, or any other type of external constituent has been touched on. Whether those engagements are through surveys, contracts, applications, or the ability to manage their own information and interactions via like a portal, Titan really does give that extension of Salesforce to you. So Ben, I think we should take a look at Titan. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea, and I really appreciate everything you have to say. You know, just from working in the industry now just for a couple of years, you know, I've been able to really see the power that Salesforce is able to bring to the nonprofit industry. And also, of course, you know, we all know that Salesforce has been very, very philanthropic towards this, you know, towards the nonprofit world and higher education and things like that. So it's really just a pleasure to be working within this ecosystem and being able to sometimes focus on the nonprofit industry and seeing how we can help you know, the different organizations that are using Salesforce and just make that experience a little bit better for everyone. So yeah, value stream, Casey and Jessica, would love to now if you could share your screen and show us a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today. That would be great. And I just want to remind everyone, you know, please, 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 any questions you have, feel free to drop them into the question and answer area here. And I would love to be able to answer those at the end, or if you know, if I can, I would answer them during the session as well. So we'd love to hear some questions from you. And yeah, let's take it away. So maybe I'll just introduce this first part here. So as I mentioned before, one of the really unique features of Titan is the ability to authenticate users who are interacting with your organization. And when I say users, that really is up to you what that user is going to be. That user could be a donor. That user could be a volunteer. That user could be anyone who you would like to give a little bit of a way to you know, contact you, to interact with the organization through forms, just be able to exchange data via Salesforce, but without ever actually being someone that's on, you know, going to be looking at all of that information from within the system. So yeah, Jessica, I guess before we really start talking about this, can you maybe just give us some examples of times you've used this capability, which we call SmartV in Titan, for your customers?
Yeah, so some examples of how we've used not only the SmartV, but the Titan platform in general. We've done some volunteer waivers where we've actually used a form with and without a signature piece. We've done interest forms for, say, fellowships that may be interested in a fellow program. We've actually done grantee portals where we leverage both Titan forms and the Titan web, as you explained earlier. We've done donor hubs where we're, again, leveraging both the Titan form and the web piece. We've done donation forms, actually, where we're using forms plus there's a payment integration with that. We didn't touch on that, but that is another great tool that Salesforce that Titan has, and all of that information goes right back into Salesforce. We've also done kind of something, I guess, out of the norm or out of what other folks would think about, and that is sometimes there is a need to pull Salesforce data onto websites, whether it is listing top donors or awarded grants for particular organizations, or displaying diversity, equity, inclusion statistics on the website for the data that we hold in Salesforce. We have that ability when leveraging the Titan platform to actually pull any of those onto your website. So those are just a few ways that we've done this. When we talk about, you know, having that ability to kind of take that interaction a little bit further, where we need to kind of validate the person, where it's not just a waiver, just a sign-up form. We can extend that where a person can actually use this, what Titan calls SmartV, where they're putting in information, essentially registering themselves by way of pushing that data into Salesforce and then calling it back, having kind of this like sign-in form, if you will. And in this demo, we're just showing how we're doing it through email with verification code. I'm going to let Ben talk a little bit more through the components that Titan has here, but this is an example of a way to just extend those examples that I mentioned.
Thanks so much, Jessica. Yeah, so let's actually begin kind of the signing in process here. And what you're seeing now is an email address that's being logged into this sign in. And what this represents is an email address that's existing inside of a record in Salesforce, and it can be in absolutely any object. Yeah, you can go ahead and start signing in. What it looks like, what's actually going on here is now we're looking up to that object that we've set this up with. And now we are actually checking, hey, does this email exist within that object according to the conditions that we've set? And if it does, we're now going to send that email address a two-factor authentication code. And using that two-factor authentication code, we can now securely log in to this interface and bring back any data we'd like from Salesforce without exposing anything unnecessarily to the wrong person. Now, I do just want to mention a few things about this. So these people are not users in Salesforce or in any other system. These are people who you decide you'd like to give access to in these interfaces. These can be contacts, accounts, person accounts. It can be a record in any object from Salesforce. That's completely up to you. And what we can do here is we can either have a two-factor authentication, or we can have a password, or we can have the email address and some other identifying thing like a last name or a social security number. And then, we can allow them to log in, or we can just have them put an email address in, and that's it. That's enough. Another time that, people sometimes use this is when they have a multi-page form and they'd like their users to be able to save and resume, which is really important, especially when we're talking about, applications for grants, applications for universities, things that take way more than one shot to fill out. Really important to have a way to come back and work with that data again. So what we're about to see now is something that was built on Titan Web. So Titan Web, as I mentioned before, is a very broad builder that allows you to build all sorts of different components for the user experience, whether it's a form, whether it's a website, whether it's a portal. And today we're going to be able to show you a bunch of different pieces that you can build out with Titan Web inside of this interface. So Jessica, anything else you want to mention here?
No, I think that's great. Thanks.
Wonderful. So the next thing we want to really talk about here is getting a little bit into the forms and talking about how we can use conditional logic within these projects. A lot of times, you have different types of people who are coming into your forms, different types of people who are coming in to these interfaces. And based on the things that they're going to answer, you want the user experience to look different. So Casey and Jessica, if you could show us a little bit of that, that would be great.
Yeah, and actually, Ben, let me say one more thing that
Please.
came to mind. So what you guys are looking at here, we built this for more of a grant-making organization. As you can see, it says, browse grants, confirm eligibility, go to my applications. But if you can imagine the use case for yourself, so, if this were a donor hub where, maybe you have a list of the donations that person has made. Maybe they want to update information, their address, they've moved or changed their preferred phone, or opt in and out of communications, that type of thing. So this is all designed with whatever extension you need to create for those interactions. So that's really what we're trying to drive home here. So even though this looks like more of, I would say, a grantee portal, if you can imagine your use case and applying it to this, Titan has the power to do that. And again, whether you call it a portal, a hub, or a multi-paged form, whatever it is, this is the Titan platform. And so to kind of start off, as as Ben was mentioning in the start of the webinar here, we want to showcase some conditional logic. Conditional logic doesn't just have to be when someone answers a question in an application and another question pops up. Conditional logic can be anything from showing an alert, showing buttons, that type of thing. So as Casey is navigating through these different pages, what she's showing is going to what we would call, open opportunities, or browsing the grant opportunities that are available. And as you can see, here's one, we can read about it, we can see when the date is open. All of this information is pulling back from the data that we have in Salesforce. However, down below, if you notice, it says the deadline for this funding opportunity is passed. That's conditional logic. That's saying, oh, well, the date closed is in the past, so we're not going to show a space for them to be able to apply. This comes in handy when you want to present the opportunity ahead of time for folks to maybe get some information or see when it's coming up, but not yet apply. You can not show it, you can show it, that type of thing. So that's one where we're not getting anybody starting something without us really dictating when they can. And so the next,
Jessica, I wanted to ask you just a question about the conditional logic. How far have you been able, in your projects to take this conditional logic? Is this something that, you're able to set lots of different rules on? Does it sometimes require any sort of really out of the box thinking, or is it usually pretty straightforward how to set up the conditional logic in these projects?
I would say the furthest and maybe most complex that we've taken this is, and Casey, would you agree, doing like role-based or audiences, where we have to actually have some information about the person, maybe say like on their contact record, and then when they do like a login, we're doing a lot of conditions to say they can't have access to this, or they should have access to that, or when they click this button, it reads conditions on criteria from their contact to show or hide or allow whatever. So that's probably the most complex we've done. The most simple we've done is, in addition to, as Casey was demonstrating the button, is just a simple alert message if they've entered something in, and we'll demonstrate that now. So let's say that the duration of the project, it can't exceed 36 months. It's just a little warning. So this is probably the simplest condition where it's just a little alert. It's not stopping, it's not doing anything, it's just saying, hey, you're not really putting in what we're asking you to put in. Same with maybe like the amount, something along those lines. It can't be 75% of something else.
And those warnings that we're seeing there those are warnings that you wrote in. They're just kind of custom messages that you put on those fields.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and so probably the last, I would say, primary use case for conditional logic is actually showing or hiding parts of the form. So like in this case, please select the race, ethnicity of your organization's CEO, right? Well, if they say, well, I don't want to collect it, it just hides the section. We just don't show it. It will default just open, but then, it just goes away if they say, I want to basically skip this part or whatever. This is just a very simple example. I'm sure you can think of use cases where this would come in handy. Are you the project director? If they say no, well, a whole section can pop up to say, well, who is it then? So they're not seeing all of that unless they're really driven to.
Now, in this project that we're looking at now, this information I see, VSC demo organization and the EIN number, all of this stuff, this is coming in real time from Salesforce. Is that correct?
That's correct. So you can probably speak a little bit more to this, but Titan's connection to Salesforce is really amazing. We can push and pull data real time. There's even a feature where pick list values. So there's other tools out there on the market that I would say aren't as sophisticated as the Titan's feature, where when you have a pick list value and you have a bunch of values in it, internally you want to manage those values. Say you deactivate one because it's not applicable anymore, or maybe you add a new value. Well, in other applications, you have to kind of manage those values where you're asking those questions. So you're really, as an administrator, you're having to go multiple different places. Remember, go back to your mapping and just try to remember where you've held this field and all of its data. Well, with Titan, it actually goes and retrieves those values for you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to remember where they're at or go to the certain place in a form, or if they're on 3 different forms, go there. You can speak a little bit more to that, Ben, is what the technical term for it is called, but it's really a great feature when it comes to the form building.
Yeah, and just to kind of strengthen that point a little bit, one of the real advantages here with Titan is that all of the data is coming and going to Salesforce in real time. So, everything that you're seeing, whether it's a value from a pick list or it's that information for the organization details we were just looking at a moment ago, that data is coming from Salesforce in real time. So if you go back to that, if we go back to that page that we were just on where the information is there, if someone goes and they update a piece of information about them, so that's going to be automatically updated in the system if you want it to, right? And this is all according to what you want to do.
Right.
So, that's
Right.
how, so when I change my phone number here, it'll update. But if I don't want to change my phone number, if we don't want our users to change their phone number, then they don't have to, and we can really decide what's going to be read only and things like that. Yeah, thanks a lot, Jessica. That was really helpful. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's a great point to bring up read-only, where maybe there's sensitive information that we want to display as some type of verification, but we really just don't want them editing it. You have the ability to do that, and Casey, are you clicking on that? Yes. So see how Casey's actually clicking on this? While it's not grayed out, they can't change it. It's not like updating the phone number where when she clicks there, you can edit it and do whatever. So yes, that feature exists, and it's actually, we've used it a ton. It probably might be used in every one of the applications or forms that we've done. So yeah, that's a great thing to point out as well.
Wonderful.
I think another feature that we wanted to showcase as far as the forms go is the power table. But before we do that, I want to just quickly touch on, again, the power of web here, Titan Web. All of this that you're seeing, Casey designed. So, we just kind of came up with, what does this look like? So those boxes at the beginning where you're kind of starting off the form where we can section it out. You can do it that way. If by design you think that that's not maybe the most user-friendly way, Titan has a whole bunch of different options. Matter of fact, Casey has implemented into this application almost like a navigation at the top. And again, I don't know the technical name for it. You guys could help me out here, but see how
we call it a stepper.
When you move from one section, okay. When you move from one section to the other, or one page to another, it's showing you where am I at, where have I been, that type of thing. So you can have that, whatever you think up, however you think it makes the most sense. You really can design it. I'm not sure, and again, Casey can second me on this. I'm not sure there's ever been something that somebody has asked us to do, like, oh, can it look like this, that we haven't in some way been able to deliver.
Yeah, and please, I just want to remind everyone, if you have questions, just drop them in the question and answer, and we'll make sure to either handle them now or at the end of the session. And great questions so far, so we're looking forward to answering some of them.
Cool. So really quick, let's just transition over to another super powerful feature that we absolutely love. It's called Power Table. We're going to show you the Power Table as it relates to inputting budget information into a grant application. Really, why we love this so much is because it kind of, it's so user-friendly that people can actually type right in the line or update details within the line, but also adding something to this is super simple too. So basically how this works is we've already pre-filled some records. This is individual records related to another record. So if you're familiar with, let's just say, an application where you have the application, you have details, but you want related records, where in this case it would be budget rows. So the person has to come in and really add each line for the budget, listing out what budget year it falls in, what category, how much, what's the total, so on and so forth. So as you can see, there's this little pop-up where you're entering new. So Casey's just entering that. You can put conditions on here. You can do whatever you want. Same rules apply. And then very simply, you save it. It adds to the table. Once the data is in there, if you need to make adjustments, you could just quickly do that in line. Say, this one's not going to be this, it's going to be this amount, or I need to change, the justification I want to add to it a little bit, or whatever. And then you save it, and again, back to that comment of this is real time. It pushes and pulls the data from Salesforce. Salesforce is huge in that, it's already the #1 CRM in the world, and so taking advantage of that and giving a little bit of that in this beautiful way that Titan does is just a huge win for folks entering in information and providing us that information. So basically eliminating an Excel sheet upload here.
A question for you, Jessica and Casey.
Sure.
What we're looking at right now. So how many objects are we working with? What kind of objects are we working with here inside of the project?
I believe the structure we set up here, there's two objects, the main or the parent, which is going to be the application, and then the second, which is going to be grantee budget or application budget, which are individual rows. So every line that you see here, those are records in Salesforce related to the main record, so application.
One thing I didn't see that you did here, but I've seen in the past, which is also really cool, is the ability to, have like maybe a little like a checkbox on the left side of the different records, being able to say, okay, I want to actually do like bulk updates of many different records and being able to change statuses and things like that. I don't know if you showed that, but that's also something really cool because then you don't have to go into each individual record in order to update it, and you could do it from one screen, which I really like a lot.
Right, and actually I was going to mention that when I segued into how we're looking at this externally, but you can actually use it internally. So hold that thought a sec, and let me just say one more thing about this. Do you see how there's two lines highlighted? Well, we can put, this is just another use case for conditions. You can actually put conditions to highlight and say, ooh, those are over 80,000. Those are highlighted. We're bringing attention to them in some way, so that if, say, we go down, now we're looking at 3 of them that are above 80. So maybe we need to adjust that, or whatever the condition or use case is. Again, you can kind of call attention right here in this table. There is a way for you to group as well. So as Casey's demonstrating now, if you clicked the little, Ben, you could help me with the technical term, but if you group hit the icon for grouping, it's now grouping it by the year. So now I can really see, okay, what did I enter for year 1? What did I enter for year 2? What did I enter for year 3? So it groups it in that way as well. And not only are we touching on just, this is great, right? Everybody loves these power tables, but I'll also mention that I believe you can go down even further. So if you needed to add records to even one more object or what have you. You're not limited to just this parent-child. Titan's just flexibility and power in relating to multiple objects, multiple records it's just really powerful. I can't explain that enough without just becoming short on words, because what we have done for our clients is just really been amazing, and the things that they are able to eliminate is really unprecedented.
Really great. I love hearing about that. Yeah, I think that the power tables just have been a game changer for so many of the people that we're working with, and just solve so many different issues. In terms of being able to bulk edit data, just having everything in one place at one time, being able to work with that, and making sure that you're seeing everything in. Again, with Salesforce, we're always talking about the 360 view, and this is just another way to really extend that experience. For sometimes even just for a volunteer, or for a donor, for someone who just needs to come in and work a little bit, so they're also able to get a little bit of that Salesforce experience that we love so much on the inside of the system itself. Yeah, so please keep the questions coming. We do have some great questions here. One I want to answer right now. Is there a limit to the number of power tables that we can use? So no, there's no limit to the number of power tables that you can use within your Titan Web projects. The way that this is all working is it's via API calls from your system. So, basically that's the way that it works. So it's based on usage. How much are people actually interacting with these power tables? But you can embed them, in your Salesforce environment, as Jessica was saying. You can have them all over your web projects. And there's also another question I see here: is there a limit to the amount of objects that we can work with? And there really isn't. So as long as there's relationships between the different objects in Salesforce, and you are able to recreate those relationships, so we can do as many drill downs as we want. And I've seen people go a number of levels deep in terms of being able to go from one object, from one parent object to the child, to the grandchild, and so on and so forth. So it's it's again, we call it power tables because it is powerful. And we'd really love to hear a little bit more about your thoughts about this, and keep those questions coming for the end.
Yeah, and then let's talk about the power table, not only externally but internally. I'd like to touch on this because the main focus of this webinar is really showcasing, pulling interactions for external folks. But Titan isn't just external. And again, coming back to the power of both platforms, Salesforce allows us to actually use Lightning Web Components, and with that, it's we can take Titan and pull it into our internal Salesforce system, whether we're embedding forms on a page or what have you. It's really beneficial for our internal folks to update records en masse. We've actually used this in a number of ways where we've had internal staff fill out reviewer sheets, update volunteer information. So if they have like a group of volunteers and whatever they're doing out in the field, maybe they don't have internet capability where they're not taking their iPad with them or what have you, and they come back and they need to log and say, this person stayed for 2 hours, this person stayed for 4 hours, or whatever it is. Inputting grant award details on grant requests after board decisions, and maybe even at the same time going ahead and scheduling out the payment for those. So we've done that and much more. So really just kind of want to touch on, while we're not showing it, you can pull this into Salesforce as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so let's move to the document generation piece. So, one of the advantages of working with Titan, as we mentioned before, is really the interconnectivity of the different products that we have on our platform. So within this, one interface that you're looking at now, we've already seen a bunch of different things, going from authenticating users, allowing them to update information, fill out applications, and then even generating a document based on their data. So this is just one use case for the document generation. What you're seeing right now is a dynamic document was just generated, as you could see, in real time from that data that we that we had in this interface. So this is like an application for, I guess, for a grant, because this is more like the grant application type of thing. And yeah, as you can see here, we're bringing in tables, we're bringing all sorts of data from different places. And one of the really nice things about this is that these documents themselves, the templates, are actually built out in Microsoft Word. So we can really work with all of our different Salesforce objects and fields within Microsoft Word using Titan's add-on that works from within Microsoft Word to really create these different types of documents. Yeah, Jessica, I know you have some other things to say about this as well. So I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, not much more to add. I would just say some of the use cases that we've done this a lot, but where this comes in handy is like what we're actually showing right now, and this is a way for someone to not only check over their submission, like, is all the data I entered correct, instead of piecing back through all of the pages of the form, but also to say, okay, I want to print this, or I want a PDF of this, or what have you. So really eliminates that need for somebody coming back and saying, hey, you got my application, can I have a copy of that? And with web, the ability to actually go back and if they've submitted, if they've submitted their application 6 months ago, and a new opportunity is coming up, maybe they want to reference that other one so that they can maybe pull up the PDF or what have you to really see it all in one. Other ways that we've kind of used this, while this is showing at the end of like an application for the use case I just described, Titan Docs can also be used internally as your merge document tool. So, internal staff, if they want to do a contract, a grant agreement, or maybe they want to do donor receipt letters or end-of-year statement, you can do all of that with the document generation feature. We don't have time to go into it all today, but this feature is actually growing as we speak. I think there's features being worked out right now. Ben, you can speak a little bit more to that, and I think what we have in store is potentially doing webinars on this in the future.
Absolutely, yeah. So just in our calls and kind of preparing for this webinar, I was telling Jessica and Casey a little bit about what's on the roadmap, and one of the really exciting things we're working on now is actually CLM, which is contract lifecycle management, which is the ability to be able to have a document and go back and forth between different parties and work on drafts of that document, come to an agreement about the different things, and of course have that all tracked in Salesforce. We'll probably do one, if not more, webinars just on that in and of itself. And also, at some point, we'll focus a little bit more on the doc gen, on the more advanced features here, and how you can really create wonderfully templated reports for any data that's coming from Salesforce, especially for grants management, as well for donor receipts and things like that. That's also a big use case. Being able to automate all of your donor thank you letters that need to go out towards the end of the year. And not having someone go in and customize each one, but still having that personalization. So we can really do that on a very large scale here. And that's really exciting, and we're looking forward to doing some more sessions on that. The other thing I wanted to mention here as well, in terms of the doc gen. So, right now we have this document, and the question is, okay, now what can I do with it? So using Titan's workflow tool, Titan Flow. So what you can do here is you can have this document then go in an email to the person who filled it out, go to an administrator in an email, go into Salesforce and trigger an automation. Really, sky's the limit in terms of now what you can do with this. It can also, be uploaded just straight away to a record in Salesforce. So yeah, that's really, I think, all I have in terms of the documents. Anything else from the two of you, or can we jump to question and answer?
I think that wraps it up.
Wonderful. Well, Jessica, Casey, this has been a real pleasure, and yeah, let's see if we can maybe have a little bit more discussion about some of the questions that people have here. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and try to answer some of these questions. We do have a nice number of questions here, and I'd love to try to answer them all. So one question I see here is, can multiple users collaborate on a grant form? So yes, that's a great question. We have a few different options for that. One of them is the ability for co-editing. One person is going to be the person who is actually working within the organization, and one person is the person who's filling out the application. So let's say they need some help. They can actually have someone from inside the organization log on and help them work on it. If we're talking about multiple users, as in like multiple parties that need to work on an application or on a grant form, again, we can do that. And the way that we'll do that is, set up a relationship in Salesforce between these different individuals. And when they log in, they'll be able to, the form will then pull that data for all of the different people that are working on it, and then they can collaborate together on that. Whether it's, usually people are doing it at different times, maybe they have different sections. And there's also some other collaborative tools that we'd love to show you if there's interest. Another question that I see here is, can you have related cross-object fields within the same table, or is it limited to one? So yes, you can definitely have cross-object fields within those power tables. As I said, we can work with a number of different objects, going as deep as you want, as long as that relationship exists there. Okay, here's another question. For Titan Web, is there any other way to handle the dual authentication beyond email, like a mobile text? And is there a way to set number of days between secondary authentication so the user doesn't have to put in the code every time? Thank you so much for asking. That was something we actually wanted to discuss here. So yes, there is other ways to handle the two-factor authentication. So what's happening here behind the scenes in Salesforce is we're creating a one-time password in a field in Salesforce. So if you have a texting service that you're working with in Salesforce, that texting service can go ahead and grab that value from Salesforce and send it out to the person via text message. And we have lots of customers doing this on a fairly regular basis. And it, of course, is just much better than having to remember a password. I personally am a big fan of the two-factor authentication. I am so happy now that so many of the different websites I log into do not have passwords anymore, and it really just makes things much easier for me in terms of not having to keep logging in every time. So again, yeah, that's something that you can do as well. So you can actually set a session limit and decide, okay, how long do I want to have this person be able to come back to this form without logging in again, come back to this website without logging in again. So you can actually design that on your own, and they can just keep coming back as many times as they want. I can't think of the limit off the top of my head, but it's pretty high. I think it's at least a day or two for how long you can actually go and log in to those portals without having to do it again. Okay, does Titan Web have a different form tool compared to Form Titan, or do Titan forms simply sit inside Titan Web? That's a great question. So Titan Web basically at this point encompasses all of the form tools that Titan Forms had and still does have, and has a lot more as well. So we've really ported over all of the functionality from Titan Forms into Titan Web, and we're continuing to develop a lot more features really on a weekly basis for Titan Web. I'm sure that for Jessica and Casey, they could both attest to the fact that we're consistently adding new things. Yeah, I actually have some things I want to tell them about that we've added in the last just couple days since we've been speaking, like merging documents together, for example. So that's one that has been on the platform, but we've done some improvements to it. So really, Titan Web is a great way to build forms. And as you can see, there's a lot of really nice user interactivity there that we can do. And of course, we do offer special discounts for nonprofits, and we'd be happy to discuss that with you at any time. And please feel free to reach out, and we can have a call together. Yeah, other things, I see a few more questions here. I don't know if we'll get to them all, but yes. So when you duplicate a portal in Titan Web, the logic does get duplicated as well. Maybe Casey and Jessica, you could maybe speak to this a little bit more, since I know that just in the last day or so since we were working on this, you had to do that. So what's that experience really like for you?
Yeah, so if you have a portal and you want to duplicate it, everything, it's a complete copy. Everything gets copied over, all the conditional logic, where buttons take you to, all of that gets copied. And I believe if you pull in forms that are from regular Form Titan into Titan Web, it also keeps the conditional logic. Is that correct, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and I wanted to say, beyond that as well, one of the things that's really nice here is the ability to, create a theme for your organization, right? So sometimes you have a lot of different forms, and sometimes you have a lot of different departments that need different types of forms. So what you can do is you can create a project, and that project can be used as a theme for the different types of projects that the different departments are going to do in the future. And it's a really nice way just to minimize the amount of duplication work that you have to do in terms of creating the styles and this and that. So you can actually create a style and continue to implement that as you go forward in the future. Yeah, so I think maybe I see one or two more questions here. So yes, great question. What Titan Web gives you the ability to do, and our our enterprise licenses, is the ability to work in a sandbox and production environment. So what you can do with that is, you build everything in your sandbox, connected to your sandbox, and then really simply export it right into your production environment. And we have all the tools for that within one interface, so you can just kind of move right along. Yeah, so we're kind of coming to the end of our session now, and I know there's a few more questions I don't think we have time to answer. I wanted to just Jessica, Casey, any final things you want to say before we wrap this up?
I'll just kind of finalize from our end to say this isn't the last webinar in what we're doing. We hope to continue teaming up with Titan to bring you more webinars to show you all of the fun stuff that Titan has to offer. We hope this first one has been informational and at least gets you more insight to how you can not only use Salesforce as your #1 CRM, but also extend that externally using Titan as a powerful platform to really pull together information and interactions with your external folks. So hope to see everyone and more on additional webinars in the future.
Thank you so much, Jessica and Casey. It's really a pleasure to present this with you and to work with you in general. It's just an amazing partnership. And again, as I said before, just awesome to have partners who continue to push us in all the different directions that we want to go. Of course, to anyone who's listening, who's looking for a really wonderful partner to work on any of your Salesforce projects, whether it's with Titan or just your internal Salesforce instance, cleaning it up, making it a little bit more effective, work better. I know for a fact that the Value Stream team is well recommended by so many of our customers, and we really appreciate the partnership. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Of course, we'll post this recording of the webinar hopefully in the next couple days on our YouTube channel, and please stay tuned for more, as we plan on doing a lot more of these. The next webinar, I believe, is going to be looking a little bit more into the financial services industry. So if you know anyone who's doing that kind of work, let's send them our way. We really appreciate everyone coming, and thanks so much for joining, and really was a pleasure.
Thank you.